All right, everyone. Welcome. Um, Today I want to continue our conversation as I'm feeling the energy that's happening in the ether of the planet. There are several topics and they're all interrelated about what's about to happen for the future. There are multiple paths that potentially could occur that I'm feeling and I'm sensing. And it's typical for me around October, November, that I begin at the end of every year, I begin to get information about what the next year is going to be like. That ends up by the end of November into a complete channeling from the Galactic Region Council, who are my guides, that I end up publishing in terms of what will happen. I have to say to you, they are typically extremely accurate. Foresaw the pandemic, and this is since 2014. And at the time, and some of the information was so uncomfortable that what I was picking up and what I was channeling at the time, a lot of people saw as fear-mongering. Now, I know when I give this information out, it is not for everybody. What I mean to say is that a lot of people don't know where to put it. They have no idea what box they should put it in. And it's the same with the conversation about the agitation and of the real enemy that is trying to unravel humanity and stop us from going into the new earth. You have to understand that right now, we have an opportunity to transcend the 3D reality and to go to any higher dimension that we want, to the degree that we can let go and surrender of our attachments. I'm going to repeat that. We have the opportunity to transcend 3D reality and go into any higher dimension. This is from 4 all the way up back to source, to the degree that we can release our attachments. Because true enlightenment is the absence of existence and self-identity. And the reason for this, it's because our galaxy, the Milky Way, is a spiral galaxy. It's flat like a pie, and it has a thickness, which is 100 light years across. And it, on top of the bottom of it, there is no other planets, stars, suns, etc. And it rotates around the core of the galaxy, which is in Sagittarius B. And it takes 250 million years for one rotation, which is called a galactic year. Our sun, which is the outer perimeter of the third pinwheel in the Milky Way, is rotating around that core, our entire solar system, in the 250 million year transit. However, it doesn't just rotate and remain in a steady position. In that 100-mile thickness, as we rotate around the Milky Way, we wobble up and down, sometimes cresting above the thickness, sometimes dropping below it. And that cycle of cresting and rising, a total sine wave cycle, is 62 million years, which means that the cresting, either top or below, happen every 31 million years. And when that happens, there is an incredible opportunity. Because at that moment, somebody else is on the line. 4 people are trying to, let me see who's trying to join. When that happens, there is an incredible opportunity. And the opportunity is that we have the ability and the capability of getting a light directly from the galactic center and the galactic core. And because of that exposure, it's limited. It's only for about 80 hours at maximum, which is like 3 days. about 3 days. When that happens, mass ascension occurs. There is transit to all the gates are open, because that light in a normal, the rest of the 31 million years between each questing, that we don't get direct connection to that light, because the core of the galaxy is clouded to us. It's not visible unless we have special filters, X-rays, infrared, all kind, because there are too many gases, too many stars, too many things that are happening. We can't, where we are in the solar system, in our solar system, we cannot see it directly. We have evidence of it, but we cannot see it directly. And when we go above, because there are no other planet, no other star, that light will touch us directly. Now, the light and that energy is truth, authenticity, and transparency. And it's already been happening now. And we've been channeling this since 2014. That is the energy. And that energy is so powerful that it has transformed the planet with all kinds of disclosure, all kinds of things that were being hidden by individual, by government, by collective, by you know, and all kinds of truth are beginning to be revealed. But truth and how you interpret that truth is a spectrum, because cosmic truth is not a static one thing. Cosmic truth is a spectrum, and it expands depending on where your consciousness is. I want you to understand this, because when you are saying truth, authenticity, and transparency, people keep thinking all the time it's one truth, it's all of these things are a fixed point on a grid, on a map somewhere. It's not a fixed point, because the truth that the Galactic Masters, the Galactic Region Council have, I can't comprehend it. I can't even begin to understand it. If they were to reveal it all to me, I would be peeing on myself. So whatever information they have, I have to process it and assimilate it in the manner in which, to the degree to which I am prepared at the moment that I'm in to assimilate it. And as I continue to grow and expand, and again, what do I mean by grow and expand? As I continue to let go of my attachments, my fear, my control, as I continue to personally surrender my identity, my existence, everything about my existence, I will know more and more and more, and the truth will become more encompassing. I want you to understand this point, because it's very important, because of how global events are happening right now, and everybody is trying to say that this is the truth, as if it is a point and a location, and they have one piece of information in a spectrum, in a cosmic and infinite spectrum of information that cannot be processed as a static experience. And I want you to I know some of you cannot comprehend this, because we live in a 3D world where everything is linearity. If I hit a ball against the wall, it bounces back. There's a cause and effect kind of thing that's connected to it. What I'm saying to you is that the wall doesn't exist. Like Neo in the Matrix, in the first Matrix, when this kid was bending the spoon, and he gave the spoon to Neo, he said, instead of trying to bend, don't try to bend the spoon, because it's impossible. But realize instead, there is no spoon. And the moment he realized that in his consciousness, the spoon just bent over. So I'm trying to make you understand what higher consciousness is like. It's a spectrum of knowing. And the degree to which you understand something and you assimilate it depends on where you are. And this is why, if you're watching your own spiritual growth, for me and many of you who have been doing this work for a while, then you will realize 2 years from now, 6 months from now, 2 months from now, you are not the same person anymore because you have allowed yourself to expand and grow and to be on a different level, on a different awareness. Because you are letting go of attachment, fears, and control. And the degree to which you let go of all these things, you will understand more, you will know more, and the truth will expand. And it's not that the information you had before were not true, but you will understand them in a completely different way. It's like trying to look at a painting and standing an inch away from it. You will understand everything about that little section, but you will have no clue about what the composition really looks like. So there needs to be a distance created so that you can actually perceive all of the fragments, all of the pieces. So I want to emphasize that point because in the context of this bifurcation, this separation between two paths, we seem to be forces or setting the planet up, humanity up, into a gigantic battle, the like of which in my lifetime I've never experienced. And it's not that in history it never happened before, because it happened. This is the way the Ottoman Empire ended. This is the way Roman ended. This is the way the Greek civilization ended. This is the way we as civilized people have the potential to end as well. Because there is an ancient enemy, an agitator that is causing us to perceive this bifurcation, the split in the road where you either choose left or right, and whichever path you follow, everyone on that path completely emotionally, it's like they're in a cult. They completely are in, they are in 300%, and they will do anything that the leaders, the manipulators, and the master, the puppet masters are asking them to do. They will do it in a blink of an eye, without any remorse, without any sense of, because of what they are being fed. I'm going to give you a simple example. In a lot of the, using one example of the bifurcation, in one side of it, it is believed that there's a cabal of world leaders who have manipulated humanity for a very long time. I'm not saying that there are people who for generationally have created billions and billions of fortune and have been manipulated finances, etc., to get richer and richer, and that there is some sort of like organized, loosely organized. After all, right now there's the Pandora Papers that just got released, where all of the billionaires around the world, including governments, are hiding their money offshore in trusts. That information has been released. Again, truth, authenticity, and transparency. You can't hide these things anymore. They're going to show up. Okay? And I want you to understand this because I'm to the degree that you can, give me a second, let me respond to this. And to the degree that you can try to understand, that you can comprehend this, you will understand better, because the narrative, so it part of what the cabal, the exposure, the truth about the cabal is this group of billionaires. I happen to have a client who was connected to one of this billionaire family, I know that they meet on a yearly basis because he shared that information with me. And the way they meet is that they actually go, they have a 747 airplane that they all board. They don't even meet on Earth in any city or location. They go all on that 747, and the meeting happened while it goes to nowhere. It just flies around the Earth and goes back again. And their information, where they put their money, what they're gonna do, and all that is discussed in that environment. But are they really trying to change the DNA of humanity? Or are they really a reptilian? Or are they really doing ritual and killing children and drinking their blood and sacrificing and doing all of this? This is the other stuff that's added on top. And that information, that corruption is causing the people who believe in this now, because part of it is true, who believe in this now, to become completely unraveled and agitated to no end, because they actually believe that these people are pedophiles. More importantly, they are cannibals and they're eating children alive. And if they believe this, they go out there and they're trying to defend children and save them from this. I want you to understand what I'm talking about, how there is and who are these beings? It's the archon we've been discussing in the past 3 classes. They cannot create anything. You have to understand who they are. They cannot create an emotion, any idea, any concept that. So when we find, for example, that we are emotionally overreacting about anything, they didn't create the emotion. They agitated and whipped it up and made it bigger and agitated us and caused us to go into a major fear about it. But at the root, that negative emotion, that fear already existed in us, because they cannot create any emotion. They are not capable of creating anything, but they can corrupt everything. Because in order for you to unleash yourself and create your freedom and your liberation, you have to know what you're dealing with. You have to understand exactly what's in front of you. And more to the point, and this is a flaw in the light worker community and a lot of spiritual people as well, in general. They believe, a lot of them, because they are praying and meditating, they are made completely of light. And there is no darkness in them, and the darkness is outside. So when I talk about the archon, and I talk about that they were fallen angels, that were guardians for us who at some point outside the Garden of Eden married the children, the daughters of men, and corrupted our genetic makeup, causing us now to have 2 strands of DNA instead of 12. Prior to their action, we had 12 strands of DNA. We were all 5D. And then all of a sudden we got corrupted. And as we got corrupted, we derailed, we fell through. And now because of this, a lot of people in the light community are under the delusion that they are completely of light, which means everyone else has the archon. They can recognize the archon in world leaders, billionaires, this, that, or the other, cousin, brother, sister, etc. But they cannot admit to themselves that the fact that I have 2 strands of DNA, the archon are already in me. It's in my bloodline. And it's in the bloodline of everybody on earth, because we all have 2 strands of DNA. So to walk around and feel superior, that you're better than others because you think you can recognize the demonic archon energy in that person and that person? Well, first of all, everything in the universe is a mirror. If you're recognizing archon energy in others, it is a mirror because it's also trying to point it out because it exists in you. And you're not looking at it, you're trying to find it in others. This is why the bifurcation works. So the people who believe that these people are cannibals, they're eating flesh and they're doing all of this, they are not looking at the fact that they themselves are infected. They're looking at the fact that these people are reptilian and they're infected. They're not looking at the fact that they too have been infected. And the other side is doing the same thing. The people who believe that these people are crazy, they believe in all this crazy theory about people eating flesh. This is a lie. And they are so, and either side there is no reconciliation. Either side cannot understand the other and cannot understand why they are believing in crazy, nonsensical belief system. Because no one is looking at the real agitator and the real enemy. I cannot go on CNN and tell people that this is not the problem that's happening in the world right now. It's because there's fallen angel and demons that are agitating the emotions of both sides of this bifurcation. No one will want to hear it. They will think I'm crazy. And yet this is exactly what's going on. And if you don't have that understanding and that lens, you will not make it through. Because you're going to be pulled either to the left or to the right, and both sides are going down and dancing together and going down this funnel and being sucked into this dark vortex. So that, and what is the ultimate aim of this archon? What is the ultimate aim? Their aim is to reverse planetary ascension, because that 80 hours I was talking about, if we are in alignment, meaning we can release all of attachment, fears, and control, and we can do all of this, and we get to the point of doing this, we will achieve transcendence into all the higher dimension. And the moment we pass 5D, they can no longer influence us. Remember, they have fallen. They exist in 4.5D. And if we go into 5D, they cannot influence us anymore. And without us, there is no food source for them. So the idea is to, in some ways, in all religion, like the Gnostic belief system, which the church, by the way, moved and tried to destroy the information. And I thank God for the Dead Sea Scrolls, where some of that information survived. Languedoc, the first crusade was the destruction of the Qatar, which was a Gnostic belief system that had all this information. In their belief, 50% of that information of their catechism was about the archon, how to recognize it, how to overcome it, how to deal with it, and they absolutely knew what they were doing. So I'm trying to invite you into a different understanding, a different lens, a different filter. When you're seeing these planetary setup, whether it is in America, the raising of the debt ceiling, and that near catastrophe that happened, because if that McConnell had not folded at the last minute, we were going to default on all of the loan for the first time. And if that happened, the dollar as a currency of exchange internationally would have collapsed immediately. And it would be to the financial ruin of everything, or the standing, the value of the money that you have, that it would be worth nothing. Doesn't matter how much money you had in the bank, it would be like garbage. And other currency, like the Chinese currency or Korean, this currency would go up and we would all plummet. And all other international business would get. So there's a near catastrophe that happened. And who and McConnell and all of these Republicans were creating these crises by posturing and playing politics and all that. What they're doing, who controls them? The archon. The future, what will happen in 2022, because it's an election year, it's a midterm election, it's going to be extremely tumultuous. There's going to be all kind of upheaval, all kind of twist and turn. And I want you, and I don't want to scare you. I'm saying this so that we can be empowered and prepared. I want you to understand what's going to happen, and I want you to be ready. Because every time that the archons, or rather world event or whatever outside, is creating an agitation in you, and you begin to realize, for example, because of what's happening, whether it's COVID, whether it is the economy, whether it is the social and political unrest, because the two energies that are getting built up are going to clash into riots, and even the potential for civil war, not only in the US, but across the planet, where nations will break apart. And it's going to create unease. It's going to create agitations. But I want you to understand that what you're witnessing externally, whatever feeling and emotion it's generating in you, unease, agitation, etc., it's an opportunity for you to learn something about yourself and find transcendence for that. Because what eventually happened, again, remember what I said, whatever you're feeling, whatever how big the feeling becomes, how immense it becomes, the archon did not create the feeling. They made it bigger. That feeling was hidden inside of you, and you did not see it up to that point. So as it gets bigger and it gets usually get immense, find the wisdom to go in your spiritual psychology and to sink deep within, so that you can finally correct the false belief, the false identities, the fears, and the attachments that are locking you into survival, into 3D. Because the reason why we are still in 3D is survival. And for each one of us, it's a customized experience. And you have to discuss, and it's not just one thing that's survival. It's a tree with many roots. And you have to discover what each one of these tentacles and root systems are, so that you can discover the false belief that are holding you into the 3D narrative, the attachments to the 3D narrative. And if you can let go of this attachment by surrendering and being them into source, because again, then what would happen? You will find transcendence, because spirit, God, your higher power, will give you a transcendental, because the moment you completely let it go and you surrender it, you realize, I'm vulnerable, I cannot control this, I'm afraid. Help me, take this away, humble yourself. Help me, take this away from me. The moment you can do this, and you can surrender and you can let go, that very moment, seconds later, the solution set will come to you and will wash over you. And when that happens, you begin now to find transcendence. A different way of understanding. Again, you're seeing only a little point of the truth with the feeling that you have and the agitation that you have. It's only a tiny fragment. It's me looking at the painting right there. But when I surrender and I let go, I get distance. I step back and I can begin to understand the whole picture. And that source, God, the divinity that I surrender it into, will give me information for me to now experience that same feeling, but now in a higher dimension. So although the archons are doing whatever it is that they're doing, which is to corrupt and to agitate and so on and so forth, so that they can maintain us in 3D, to us who know better, every time this agitation happens, it is an opportunity for us to find transcendence, to elevate, and to, and again, it's very counterintuitive, because when it's going out in the real world and when you're experiencing this emotion, I don't want to go to the material I've already covered in the past 3 classes. I want to move forward. But I've spoken in last class in great details about the way and the mechanic that you have to use in order for you to identify when you're feeling these overwhelming emotions about events that are happening outside of you. Is this 100% mine? And if it is not all mine, whatever percentage is not mine, I want the 3-mighty archangel to take it away. And what is mine, I'm now going to one by one surrender all these tentacles out to my God, to my higher power, and humble myself and ask for help. Take this cup away from me. Give me help. And as I do this, an immediate repair and redemption will find me. And I will be able to know not only how to emotionally deal with it, but more importantly, in the real world, how to avert the trap and the disaster as this world is transiting and morphing into something else. Now, just because you achieve that today, it doesn't mean 2 days from now or a week from now that you're going to be as elegant as you were today. Some of the time you're going to try to do this, it's going to be a lot more messy. You might end up going into panic and fear for a lot longer than you did the first time. But eventually, if you keep doing this, you will know when you're overreacting. And you will realize, for me, and I've said this in many classes, the paranoia is my biggest problem. Because these things and this external event can quickly agitate me into paranoia, which is the reason why I am curating carefully what I consume, what I feed my consciousness. So as a spiritual teacher, there's lots of crazy theory about what's going on and this, that, or the other that everyone is sending to me for me to say yay or nay, for me to verify and all of that, and etc. A lot of it is partial truth. And the rest of it is sheer craziness, like, you know, cannibal that are eating children, etc., etc. And I have to filter that out, because if I keep watching the entire, let's say, videos that I'm being sent, even if I may say I disagree with that, and I keep watching all of this for 21 days, some part of it will filter into my consciousness, my subconscious mind, and will become law. So what I am doing right now is that as I begin to watch, read articles, papers, and things, information that people are sending me, I have to read them with three criteria. As I'm beginning to watch the information, is this generating fear in me? Item number 2, is it demonizing a collective, a group, or person and making them into complete evil? Third, am I being asked to go out on the street and propagate this information? And if all three are true, I'm not watching the rest. I'm done. Because it's the archon. This is the way the inspection is spreading through the planet. And if you watch this enough time, past 21 days of watching these kind of things, you are completely radicalized. Because the poison in when I was part of the Rosicrucian order, they used to call this mental poisoning. The poison is now in your subconscious mind, and there's nothing that you can get rid of it, but it will take a tremendous amount of, we have the personal power program. You have to do a lot of work to undo the damage. My consciousness is the most powerful thing that I have, and I'm going to mind it carefully. So as information are being presented to me, there's so much information. We have a lot of information, a lot of data, but not enough wisdom to govern that information. I am asking you to become wise. So by the way, any questions, any comments from any of you?
Pierre?
Yes.
Can you please refresh my memory? You mentioned that archons can corrupt emotions, emotions, obviously. Can they also corrupt like false beliefs or anything else?
Yes, they can corrupt all the emotional body, the mental body. They can corrupt those two bodies. Anything that exists in it, your subconscious mind, they can corrupt it.
Right. Okay. So let's say we did the meditation with the 3D fields in the mental body.
Yep.
Not the super conscious mind, right? Or maybe...
No. Once you're past the 4.5D and going to 5D, they cannot get into that field. They cannot enter it.
Okay. So that would include also false beliefs can also be exaggerated or corrupted.
Yeah.
False identities, that's different. I see.
Yeah, no. A lot of these false identity were created by them. A lot at the root of this the false belief can become false identity over time.
Right. Okay.
And all of a sudden you have like these people who believe, for example, that the Cabal people are eating or cannibals that are sacrificing children alive. You and I were not of that system. We can see how ridiculous that thought is. Right. But to them, they actually believe this to be true. And they will do it. This is why they become radicalized and they have gun and they start killing and shooting. They actually believe they are doing a noble thing to save children.
So that can become part of that package.
Yes.
Because they couldn't, I don't think they could corrupt the entire package, but they can corrupt some of it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You see what I'm saying? It's important for us to understand this. And this is why 2022, there's going to be a lot of violence. Because it's going to get worse. The schism and the separation is going to get wider and wider. And there will be no reconciliation.
Well, yes, that's why we had that meditation, was it 2 classes ago?
Yeah.
Where we created for 3D related fears.
Yep.
Emotional body and mental body separately. So you can have that kind of awareness. And then And then we did also programs, subprograms, related programs, replicator programs. So we did that as well.
Yeah.
So that might be a good idea because that's a little different from quitting your mental body. It's a little different from just doing the dentian and focusing on emotions. Although it will probably, you will see how they connected as well. I would
They are
imagine.
connected because it's the same muscle. If
Mhm.
you have not done any emotional intelligence work, this is going to be very hard for you.
Right,
It's going to be very hard. If you have not done any dentian work, it's going to be very hard for you.
right. But for us, like we will see the connection between
Yeah.
the two as well.
Because if you're not looking at yourself as having any fault, and again, I remember doing a series of healing for somebody who's in her 60s and light worker for an entire life. And I remember, and every time I did healing for her, she would regress into past lives. And she would go and see these horrible things. And I remember the last time I did a healing for her, she never came back after that. She says to me, I don't know how to process any of this. I'm seeing myself in this incredible dark environment and doing all these dark things. And she says, my entire life, I've always believed that I was light and there was no darkness in me. And I don't know how to deal with this.
Right. Which is, I mean, in a way, it's probably something that goes back lifetimes because on the average, you're average. You have this or that, you've not been perfect, right?
Right.
So
And,
that seems a little extreme.
well, in her instance, it's not just her. What I'm trying to point out is that I know lots of light workers that are exactly like her.
Mm.
In my experience as a healer, I know a lot of people who actually deluded into believing that's who they are. They are from, Pleiades, they are all light and they're all angelic realm, they're all this, there. And they have no accountability from their own shadow and their own darkness. They don't understand that concept.
Which is interesting because in a way, it's a little bit like people of the lie because you can admit that you've done wrong.
Yes,
So
yes,
wrong.
it's narcissism. Absolutely. We're living, and this is why the archons are finding this to be easy for them to do.
Right.
In less than a year, I'm watching the world being pulled apart. The gigantic schism is being, created because we're living in a narcissistic culture, a culture of selfie, of Instagram posts and mass media, this, that, or the other, having followers and being an influencer. All of that is narcissistic.
They're not far apart. Okay.
So it's easy to manipulate that environment to cause the seed of corruption to propagate. And as I said, I've been saying this, do not underestimate these beings and what they're capable of doing.
Right.
But understand throughout all of this, whatever unusual experience that you're placed in, find the wisdom in it, because it has a lesson that will cause you to find a transcendence and block a series of emotions that you were blinded to and fears you were blinded to that will help you find transcendence so that they, meaning the archon, can no longer infect you through this.
And I think also what you said, that it's a series of emotions, because I think as we are expanding, becoming more 4D, going into 5D, things gonna be less and less linear. So
Right.
things gonna show up with multiple root causes, and they, like you mentioned earlier, they might be moving around a little bit. It might start in second chakra, then it might move to another chakra. It's a little more of take your time, I guess, exercise, because it's you expand it, so it shows up a little more differently.
Yeah, and again, self-evaluation becomes the key. This is why the dentian is there. You have to figure out where the energy is, and you have to be honest enough with yourself to say, this exists in me, this belonged to me, and I'm going to ask God now to take this away from me. My part, I'm surrendering it. And what doesn't belong to me, I'm asking these archangels to remove them.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments or questions? Now, it's important for us to understand, as I said, that whatever potential experience that are about in the future horizon right now, again, as I said, there are financial peril that I'm perceiving. There are potential, and it doesn't mean they're going to manifest. There are potential physical, violent clashes. There are all kind and crazy weather patterns, all of which are being agitated by the archons. They are behind it. They are the true enemy. They've always been the enemy. And again, if you look at all these major superpowers that existed in the past, it doesn't matter what it was, whether it's the Ottoman Empire, whether it was Rome, whether it is now us as a superpower in the world, they never unravel from outside enemy. They unravel from within. And they unravel because the archon was done with them. And because there comes a point with every culture where a crisis happens and the potential for true transcendence and ascension occur. Because the best way I can put this is that these global events between now and 2027, we're going through a series of tests where, as a planet, as a species, we're going through a series of tests so that we can begin to elevate. Now, it's so turned out that for us as a species, if everything is going hunky-dory, we don't take, we don't, what's the word? We don't grow if everything is going well. We grow when we're in crisis. Now, it's not necessarily the way our consciousness is. Consciousness can grow at any point. You can choose to grow by grace, which is to learn from other people, to study, to learn from other teachers, to imitate the life of ascended masters like the Christ, the Buddha, Mahatma, and so on and so forth. We can choose, and a lot of teachers in the past have done this. But for the vast majority of the planet, it's when there are crises that we begin to evolve. So as this transit extending now from now until 2027, which is when I'm expecting this crossing to occur, this 80 days into the actual galactic equator light. So as this is about to occur, and we're leading into this, we are going to experience all kinds of turbulence. But the turbulence is now an accelerant. The archons are doing this thinking they're tripping us and they're causing us, and they're going to trap us and cause us to stay behind. But the archon are actually doing God's work. Understand what I'm saying? See the wisdom in this. Because what they are doing right now in creating this agitation, they are giving us opportunities, if you use it correctly, to find transcendence. They're going to allow us, because they know us better than ourselves, because they exist in our DNA. So they're going to expose and bring to us what we are, what makes us raw, what makes us emotional, what makes us react, blah, blah, blah. But if you are doing this work, if you are really about your transformation and the elevation of your consciousness and the evolution of your into a higher, your evolution into a higher dimension, you're gonna find a way to discover what they are doing and to own your part and extract them and ask God, the mighty archangel, to remove them from you. And you're gonna find what exposed in you the weaknesses in your spiritual psychology that you did not see before. I know that the fear that COVID created in me showed me things about my survival tree, my survival core and axis that I didn't know existed before. I've spoken about this on the last 3 videos. And therefore, that discovery is now helping me manage myself between now and 2027. Because now I know how the archon can try to infect these things. And when they show up, I can begin to know, okay, this is that, this is, you know, it's initially when the emotion gets flared up, I'm not lucid about it. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't catch it immediately. I usually catch it a few hours later. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm being manipulated. This is archon energy, you know, whipping me up. There's a part of this that's mine, but I'm being whipped up. I've said this before. When you're confronting archons, because one of the things that you need to do when you find, let's say, 70% of something, if emotion of a fear is not yours, that 70%, when you face it energetically, you cannot face it with anger and rage. Because if you go with anger and rage, they will use that emotion as another back door to enter. And you will not get rid of them. They will basically, like water, they will move through your finger and reappear something else, somewhere else. The thing that you need to do when you're confronting them is to say to them energetically, when you energetically can see, okay, this is where this is the fear, this is the percentage that doesn't belong to me. You have to say to them, I see you, and I have my eyes fixed on you, but not with rage, indignations, or righteous anger. Those emotions, they will corrupt. What they cannot do, because they were created as guardian angel to protect us. What you can approach them when you're confronting them, you have to approach them with sovereignty, which is the certainty of you as a 5-dimensional being. You have to go, because your already 5-dimensional self is here. It's already in you. You have to go and confront them as a 5D being, not as a disempowered person that's still battling and therefore screaming and yelling with rage. That they will use against you. You have to go as a 5D sovereign being and say to them, I see you. I have my eyes fixed on you. Get thee behind me. From my sovereignty, I command you to get thee behind me. It's a very different thing than if you're screaming and yelling with sword in hand and trying to battle, because they will use it against you. You're not neutral. I hope this is making sense. Any questions, any comments? So we have a lot of work in front of us. As I said, there's not one of us that doesn't have their presence somehow attempting to manipulate us in one way or another. This is the reason why we have two strands of DNA. Now, if you're doing what I'm asking you to do, which is to emotion by emotion, piece by piece, as you see your overreactions, you go back and you deconstruct everything, and you're doing exactly what I just described, you're gonna block, and they will have less and less access to manipulate your emotion. Every time you block them, one emotion at a time, when you surrender and ask for transcendence to come in, you will begin to elevate. And whenever that transcendence comes in, you will move into your light body. Your frequency will change, and slowly and gradually, one by one, you will get to 51% light body. And at that point, you will have the upper hand to recognize them faster. And by the time you get to 90% light body, you will be in 5D. Now, the other side of this as well is that as you're doing this work, and again, you're not alone, because I have given you all the DNA reconstruction process. And if you're doing on a daily basis that DNA reconstruction, which is a way to regrow all 12 strands of DNA, in addition to all the emotional stuff I just talked about, the subtle energy shift, the way for you to try to recognize it and all of that, this is the kind of like more subtle, complicated work that needs to be done. But in addition to that, if you're doing the DNA reconstruction and you're listening to it on a daily basis, it will actually empower you and give you the ability to regrow your 12 strands of DNA. And this is, and I'm going to describe again how to do this, because many of you have given this DNA reconstruction process to, you're listening to it every day. You could be listening to it from 2008 until now. But if you're doing it wrong, it will not regrow your 12 strands of DNA. There is a way to do this. And the way you do it is that you listen to the entire recording for 3 months straight, allowing the energies and the various collective to come in to do everything that they're doing. You listen to it straight. Then once the 3 months passes, stop listening to the recording, because by now you have memorized everything about it. And now when you're listening, I need you to begin now to, because it's 12 gifts from 12 separate collectives that will allow all 12 strands of DNA to be regrown. The first gift is the God seed from the throne room of God dropping into the top of your head. Whatever that experience is, because the timing of the recording is not energetically the timing of your body. So after 3 months of learning the information, you're going to spend 1 month with the first collective. Meaning for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, you start the meditation in your head with all of the invocations, and then you get to the first collective, and you only connect to the energy of the first collective, and you allow each part of the wording of the meditation to occur until energetically your body feels it's time for me to move to the next step. The God seed drops into the top of your head. Let that drop in and don't rush to the next piece. And wait until you feel the energy moving down. It goes down your body. It shifts things. Let it energetically take its time to move, and it goes into the core of the earth. And there it breaks open. Let each piece happen energetically how it wants to happen. And if you do this for 1 month, that first piece will expand and extract. And the benefit and the reward that you will get from this will be beyond anything that you have ever experienced in your life. Then the following month, the second collective is the Guardian Alliance of Light and the Torsion Field. You do exactly the same thing for them. 25 minutes, allowing it to just take its time for all the pieces that you know now by heart in your head to occur to you, and let the energy happen the way the energy wants to happen. Instead of being lazy and disengaged and listening to a meditation when you're passively receiving it, now your consciousness is consciously engaged with each collective to allow the full power, energy, gift, and liberation that is trying to give you to expand and to grow in you. If you do it right after the first 3 months, then it's going to be 12 months. It's a year and 3 months. By the time all of this is done, you will not be the same person.
Pierre, I have a question.
Yes.
Just to be sure, let's say I'm doing collective number 2 or 3.
Yep.
And I memorize this and I'm taking my time. And let's say I know the steps.
Yep.
Can I do this without recording, or
without recording? The moment you pass 3 months, you don't do the recording anymore.
Okay, I just want to make sure you don't need the recording.
You don't need the recording.
Because recording sometimes have additional invocations. So should we still repeat the invocations part?
You decide what you want to do. Okay. For me, I don't need the recording because I've already known. I've been repeating it for so long in my head. I know every step.
Right. No, I'm just making sure what's
I can play other music in the background, like other meditation music. I can burn incense when I'm doing this.
Right.
And repeat other meditation, soft music, meditation music in the background.
Right.
But I don't need to have the recording. Clearly, do not play the recording at that point, because again, you're going to be in a passive state. You're not going to be engaged with the energy for the transformation to occur.
Yes, that's what I thought. But then you said to listen to the recording.
No, the recording is only for the first 3 months.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make it.
For the first 3 months. I don't mind the clarification for the first 3 months. And then after that, I play other music in the background. I burn some incense, and I'm doing the work of expanding each piece and to go deeply into the gift. The same way you're doing morphogenic listening. It's the same muscle. Listen carefully. It's the same muscle of the morphogenic listening. This time you're doing it with each gift.
Yes. And you don't need like these additional invocations.
No, you just go in. You know it already. I'm working on gift number 4. I'm gonna go right into the beginning of this, and as I do, I do my morphogenic listening to begin. And then as I finish my morphogenic listening, I'm in that state of surrender and silence and listening. And then I go right into that collective and I ask for the gift to be installed.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You do it this way, it's going to create unbelievable transformation in you.
To be honest, you know what I was just thinking as you were talking, because we did the DNA reconstruction some years ago. And I was thinking that maybe I don't need to repeat the 3 months.
Yeah.
But now I'm not so sure. And now I'm thinking if it's been years. I mean, I guess if in doubt, there's no harm in repeating. 3 months go by quickly. Yeah. And this way you kind of make sure that you covered that part and you can go with more confidence, I think.
I'm going to do it for 3 months, okay? You all decide what you want to do, but I'm going to do it this way. It's the morphogenic listening and you do it for each of the collective. And you don't have, because the meditation is like 40, 45 minutes, whatever it is. But now when you get in past the 3 months, it's 25 minutes for each one of them, 20, 25. In other words, whatever time that it takes you to go into that surrender and that morphogenic awareness for each collective to open up and expand.
Yes, the same as the virtues.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah, sounds good.
And to the people who are just mechanically and methodically listening to the recording for however long that they're doing it, you're never going to achieve the same level of ascendance as somebody who's doing it this way.
Right. Yeah, it's just like virtues. You need to see how it feels in you, and
you have to engage in it. You have to be in that field. You have to allow it to expand.
right.
The timing of the recording is too fast for the kind of expansion and silence and stillness that you need for these gifts to be installed.
Yes, yes, yes. A good reminder. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any questions, any comments? Now, if you're doing the DNA reconstruction and the process that I'm suggesting that you do, it will accelerate your ascendance and your empowerment, and you will move to the transit. I'm not saying it's not going to be turbulence. The turbulence is going to be there. We can't change that. This is the planet learning by karma. There is no magic dust. There is no, juju that anyone can do. This is the way a transit into a higher density happens. It's a turbulent event, series of process rather, not event. It's turbulent process. And it will take multiple of these various landmark stages for you to emotionally find yourself into transcendence. But there will come a point where after you do this for a while, where ease will begin to show up for you. And when that begins to happen, you're going to feel better and better. You're going to get yourself to a point of like, okay, I'm in a different place. I'm saying, I'm not, okay, I know some of you are going to do what I'm saying. But if you don't want to do it and I can't do it for you. My love for you cannot take you to the new earth. It's what's going to happen is that when we begin to ascend and begin to transit and that crossing occur, you're not going to be on the bus. You're going to go somewhere else. There is no escaping this. No one will enter into the new earth without doing this work. Yes, there's going to be entrainment. Yes, there's going to be an ease and flow created by us who are doing the hard work. But many people, like the one who are choosing both sides of the bifurcation, who believe in whatever it is, conspiracy theory or whatever it is that they're believing in, a lot of these people are going to be stuck. And that part is another part of the transit that's painful. And this is where the grief begins to show up. Because family members, friends, loved ones, we're going to watch them become radicalized and going to completely different places where they will be completely misaligned to the truth. And I don't mean the fixed truth as one point in time, but the spectrum, the cosmic truth, which is the ever expanding spectrum of knowing. And that part is difficult. And that's the part that we have to be prepared to negotiate, to understand that a lot of our friends and family members, a lot of the people we pitch marble with will not go where we're going. Again, it is by merit that you will inherit the kingdom of heaven. It's your merit. There's no other way. So if you're not doing, I'm laying the process in front of you. I'm making it as simple as I know how to make it. But I cannot do the work for you. I can give you food, but I cannot chew for you. I cannot digest for you. I cannot go to the bathroom for you. I am feeding you the right information. The rest is up to you to do. I hope you make it. And that's all that I can say. But if you don't make it, I'm going to have to deal with my grief and I'm going to have to mourn you, but I will do it and I will move into the higher density. Now, it is true that everyone will be redeemed. Everyone will ascend eventually. But in this cycle, going to 2027, if you're not doing the work at a quick pace, you're not going to make it. Now, to that end, many of you who are in the class right now already took my the series of 4 classes that I've taken, that I've given, and many of you are now part of the council of planetary leaders, and we're doing that class, and we've moved. I have to say to you that I'll be very honest with you. For the first time in the past 15 years, with the series completed, for the first time, I am feeling heard. And this is immense for me, because whereas before I felt all the time that I was speaking to the wind. And this is extremely rewarding and satisfying to me as a teacher, because the way I know that you're getting it is because I can see the transformation in you. I can see the change. I can see the shift in awareness, the shift in consciousness, because when the archon energy and the stuff in your real life is happening around you, I see the way you react to it and the way you overcome it. And this is where the rubber meets the road. And because of this incredible thing that I'm seeing you all doing, I am offering another class that will start on Tuesday. And it's an opening. Remember, I taught you a series of 4 separate classes, each one of them lasting 12 weeks individually. The first class, the Ascension Yoga of Neutrality. The second class, the Monadic Merger. The third class, the Cultivation of the Virtue. And the final class is the final class is the Order of Melchizedek. And if you follow all this linearly, by the time you are done, you will be offered a seat in the Council of Planetary Leaders. Now, the first class I will be teaching starting this Tuesday, October the 12th, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Now, if you know any friends, any family members that might be interested in doing the work you've already done, this is their opportunity to find the same peace and the same transcendence that you're experiencing. For the people who are on Patreon, this is an opportunity for you as well. If you were so desire, you can go to my website and find the details there. It's starting on Tuesday, and it will be every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it will be the first installment. And it's every step about ascension, every mechanic, all the things I'm talking about, including the DNA restriction, all of that information is there. Nothing, and more importantly, you are given also, even if you're a different time zone, the actual audio, a video recording, and the meditation or isolated, you will receive this as well for you, because there's so much information in these classes that a lot of the people who are on the council right now are going back over the old recording and replaying them and saying to themselves, oh my God, I didn't hear this before. How come I didn't hear this? So if you have friends and family members who might be interested in doing this, forward them the information on the website. And since you are now an ambassador, you can talk to them about how the training changed you and the benefit that it created for you. Any other questions or comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break. And then after that, we'll do a closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And focus your awareness in your upper heart, and let your mind and your heart sync with each other. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. Become aware of the morphogenic field that is being created by this coherence. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachment, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I am now one with infinity times infinity. Whatever fears, disempowerment, attachments, program, subprogram, and replicated programs that may exist in my physical, emotional, and mental body. I surrender into you. I release all concepts, identities, and perceptions of myself, and all the fears that are connected to control. I release all attachments, all fears, and all control. And I surrender all that vulnerability into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. May the healing and the repairs that are needed to restore my consciousness, my mental, emotional, and physical body. Into prime 5D performance. Begin to now flow from this blessed quantum morphogenic field. Blessed be. Blessed be. Blessed be. May the more than 50 trillion cells that exist in my physical body begin to be shifted into resonance and alignment to the morphogenic freedom, liberation from all attachments or fears. May all back doors that corruptions, inflations, and agitations used to occupy be permanently elevated into 5D frequencies, blocking access. And providing a springboard for me to find transcendence. May the peace and the serenity that exist in this blessed field liberate me and allow me to exist in my sovereignty. And from the roots of Amen, and into the throne room of God, let these frequencies broadcast and train and demonstrate to the world my peace, my serenity, and my liberation. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. How you all doing?
Thank you, Pierre. That was very beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Pierre. So grateful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I want to thank all my Patreon supporters who are listening to us. Thank you all. I deeply appreciate your support in all of this great transit that we're moving through. To the best of my abilities, I will continue to try to guide you through it. And again, if you might be interested in the class, take a look at my website under event. It will start this Tuesday, October 12th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much. Blessings to you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Pierre. Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, all. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.